Hello, everybody. Well, Duke and Miami are playing against each other. Classic conference matchup late in the season. What's not as normal about it is the fact that Miami's next head coach will be on Duke's end of the sideline, and it's not even March yet, and we're already making coaching changes. But hey, that's college basketball, and that's the way that it goes. But we're here to talk about the DFS side of things, and Mike joins me to break it all down right now, recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that One and Done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball information. And we are powered by the galaxy's greatest website, as you get a close-up of our guy right there, Mike. We're powered by drroto.com. I'm your sometimes humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich, and I happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Find me on X at Dr. William Cannon. I'm ready for my close-up, director. You already got it from Mr. Mike right there. El Capitan himself, the captain of the One and Done ship at MC Holland 34 on X. The OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what's happening?
Man, I forgot to plug in my headphones. So I felt like, Ace Ventura and he's just like, like,
so good.
Of course she called me out, so that's great. Great start, but no, man, it's been a great week. Ready to dive into this one, man. We had an okay weekend, ups and downs. Tonight looks okay, but really looking forward to this slate that's coming up here, man. I think it's going to be a fun one. So looking forward to talking about it. It's only a 7-gamer, which is kind of weird for a midweek slate.
You're talking about when he's in Snowflake State. He's, I can't do it, Captain. I don't have the power. That's classic Ace Ventura. Love me some Ace Ventura, and we love me some DFS, and of course, nobody better to do it, to talk with us about it than my guy Mike right here at MC Holland 34 on X. Of course, at Fantasy Nav and those Twitter streets pushing the buttons tonight. Eric the Blue doing his thing behind the scenes. As Cam hops in the comments, oh, Miami plus 22. And then, oh, yeah, there's Eric right there. Turn me up on my headphones. There we go. We got it going on. Good stuff. Live chat's already rolling. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can hop in the live chat with us. It's subscribers only mode tonight. So make sure you hit those buttons. 1,379, I believe we're sitting at right now. Let's get on up to 1,380, 1,381, 1,382. Let's just creep. And I creep. Yeah. All right. That's enough singing for now. There might be some more later. I can't guarantee that there won't be. But anyways, Mike was getting at it earlier, a 7-game slate for a Tuesday that we're breaking down here. So, Mike, a quick overview, if you will. Last time out, we didn't really have the studs to reach up for and to spend up for. That is not the case on this slate.
Praise the Lord. When was the last time we had a main slate show and there were studs? So this is awesome. Now, only like one of them's in like a really, really good spot. But still, we got the studs that we're going to pay up for, and there's some solid value already on the board. So looking forward to that. And then a ton of questionable tags that are going to probably go up until lock. So we'll have to pay attention to that type of stuff. And that's obviously make or break type case when we get this late in the season because it's hard to find value. But on this one, we already got some interesting value pieces. And then we have the Q tags on this one's more of like the guys that are in, because some of these questionable guys' prices have dropped. So it's like, oh, if they're back in and they're back to a normal roll like the Iowa State guys in a pace-up spot, then it makes it really interesting to pay, $6,700 for Curtis Jones when he was $9K like 3 weeks ago. So we'll talk about it all, man. It's gonna be a fun slate.
Should be a fun one for sure. It's always fun in the live chat. Peanut Butter Posse, our resident Kentucky fan, or one of many actually, but our most well-known. I don't know if it's has the most notoriety as a Kentucky fan maybe in our live chat. Either way, hop in there with him. Jason B knows it's time to get this bread. Everybody knows what's up. That's why we're here, man. We're here to get this bread. We're here to see some green screens in those DraftKings streets. So make sure you hit all those buttons, like and subscribe, notification bells, and follow at One and Done CBB all over social media. That's the place to be. Our guy CC Hustle at The Real Napier out there, getting some tweets on the Tweeterverse, filling in the host chair every once in a while, so we appreciate him. But make sure at One and Done CBB, of course, on all the socials, WON, One and Done CBB. And, hit those buttons so we can get you this bread. 7-game slate, like you said, Mike, and we're going to start with Northwestern traveling to Minnesota, and an uninspiring projected total here of 129 points. If anything else, it should be close. I mean, these teams are going to battle back and forth, and they ought to, because
battle they will.
I was going to say, I don't know what kind of battle. It's like watching two teams play sand volleyball, except the sand is full of water and it's just muddy and nobody can move, because that's what these two teams play like. At least it feels like that at times. So the totals that you see on your screen, if you're unfamiliar with One, and if this is your first time hanging out with us, thank you, first of all, for being here. We appreciate you. But these are Ken Palm's metrics that we use and projected numbers. So 129 is the projected total here. And according to Ken Palm, this is a 1-point game in favor of Northwestern. So those are the numbers that you'll see on our screen as we flash through here. Northwestern, 65 of those 129 implied points here, as Ryan definitely shares the same sentiment that we all have. What works in favor for Northwestern? Let's try to figure something out here. So Minnesota doesn't really play defense. As a matter of fact, they're 17th in the Big Ten. If you're 17th in anything that has the number 10 in it, you're not good. And that's where Minnesota is right now. Northwestern's also going to get a 3-ball boost and an assist boost. But let's start at the top of their spending with Nick Martinelli here, 9,700. Basically, with Barnhizer out for the year, everything's fallen onto his shoulders. In the 6 games that Barnhizer's missed, Martinelli's averaging 20 field goal attempts per game. Not 20, just no attempts. He's shooting the ball 20 times a game. What's not to like about that? But the problem is the game environment obviously sucks, man. But Max Hughes' guy, he might not leave the floor, Mike. And if he gets hot, again, there's going to be some like bona fide stars on this slate to spend up for. And if people are going to get there, people are going to be spending $11,000 for certain players later on. Maybe Martinelli is a spend up to look at as a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, dude, what is that, like a 40% usage rate? Like, I mean, do you want a guy that's going to take 20 shots, play all 40 minutes, or do you want to play Cooper Flagg for 1,300 more in a game in a game where they already blew out Miami by 30 and he played like 20 something minutes? So, I think Martinelli's kind of interesting for tournaments. This should be a close game. Projected to be, a 1-point game here. Ty Berry's kind of in the same situation. I just say Ty Berry's price and everything else he does on the floor isn't great. So, with Barnhizer out, he's kind of the second man up here as far as getting the shots, 10 plus field goal attempts in 6 straight. Definitely has to be effective from the field because he doesn't do much else. But, those minutes obviously can help his floor with those peripherals. So, man, I don't think I'm going to get to him at 7K. Ty Berry, that just sounds pretty disgusting. Matthew Nicholson's down here at 5,600. A really good game last time out. He's playing 28 to 30-ish type minutes here. The price is up $1,200. So I think Nicholson's just okay here. It doesn't take a lot of shots, so you better hope that if you play some Matthew Nicholson here, that he's going to get 8+ rebounds, which he's capable of getting a cheap double-double, especially in this spot. I don't mind, if you're playing 20 lineups, throwing them into one for sure. So Matthew Nicholson at 5,600, definitely interesting. KJ Wyndham sitting there at 4,300. He's kind of interesting. His minutes have been super volatile. Correlates directly with how Jordan Clayton is playing. So if he gets high 20s, like he can produce at this price. We've seen the couple of games where he's gotten into the high 20 minutes. He had 21, almost 22 fantasy points and 30.5 fantasy points in those 2 games where he nearly touched 30 minutes. So just kind of interesting, but he's not guaranteed those minutes. If he plays 19, 15 minutes, he's obviously not going to get there at 4,300, especially in this ugly game environment. So, yeah, just kind of one of those things, man. Like, you want to get too heavily invested in this game, Jay, obviously, but Nick Martinelli, just with his role, is certainly interesting. These other guys, though, the price is starting to creep up because they're, obviously getting a little more volume and playing more minutes now that Barnheiser's out.
Yeah, Barry took 15 3-pointers a couple of games ago and only scored 30 fantasy points. I mean, I don't know. It's like you see the usage spike being there, right? He's got to hit all those shots, though. He's got to hit them. It doesn't matter if he's taking them all. He's got to hit them. Minnesota, tough game environment here. Again, 290th in bench minutes used, I get, at least for Minnesota. So I guess, yeah, we could get a little bit of a thumbs up there.
It doesn't get two because of the environment.
One thumbs up, yeah. But we know that 3 guys played 38 or more minutes last game, so we're sort of looking for trends like that. And one of those guys is Dawson Garcia at 10K flat. I love Dawson Garcia in a cash game. I tend to hang around some of the double ups and things like that, and I like Dawson Garcia as a spend up basically anytime, even in this environment. Did he cook us in an easy matchup on Saturday? Yeah, he did. Only scored 30, but even then, I think got to consider him for cash games. Not really much else to get excited about on this side or about this game in general. Mike, anything before we move on?
It's kind of notable that Mike Mitchell, of course, burned us as well, playing all 40 minutes last game, 16 and a half fantasy points. Now we get the $500 increase in a crap game in a crappier environment. This is probably where Garcia and Mitchell go off. It's going to be like so annoying. You played them against Penn State where they should have crushed inside. Mitchell plays all 40 minutes in a top 100 tempo. Like everything lines up for both of these guys last game, and they crash and burn. So naturally you get off of them, and both of these guys will probably cook in like the worst game environment. But that's why you play them in the large field tournament, trying to win 3K. Putting those 2 guys together again with the Martinelli run back, it's not like the worst thing in the world, but there's just so much opportunity cost, and I'm not recommending it. But if I were to play any guys in this matchup, it's probably those 3.
I can't imagine that Dawson Garcia is going to be super popular. Another guy that is up there in terms of spending up on this slate. But people are going to look at that 30 that he put up on Saturday and just not want to hit that button quite as easily. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, Mike, like you said, sprinkle him in there. And if this game does go over, it's going to be close. If it goes to overtime, whatever happens, man, if it does happen that way, if it does go over, Garcia is going to be a reason why. So what's a way to get, a little bit different? Another way to get different, Mike? It's by hanging out with our friends at BracketBids. We're only like 3 weeks away from Selection Sunday. 3 weeks, Mike.
Right.
It's funny to talk about, like coaches already knowing that they're leaving certain, and we'll get to that in a minute since we have 3 weeks left until Selection Sunday. But, you're planning on filling out a bracket and doing one of those big old pools with your friends, coworkers, your uncle that you'd only talk to at Thanksgiving, and even then you only hang out with him because they'll give you a 20 or something like that. I know you know what I'm talking about. I know that's you. That's okay if you do.
I got a few
hey, that's all right. That's okay if you do. But gather everybody up and get over to BracketBids.com or on the BracketBids app. We're all going to do the brackets, but if you want to level up, invite those same people to BracketBids and start an auction draft league. That's right, auction draft in March, you say, for college basketball? Yes, this isn't just your regular old pick'em, which is okay. We've got that too, and that's okay to have. But an auction-style tournament league, changing the game, bringing a fantasy sports aspect to the greatest tournament in the world. Set up your league for free. Set it up for free. You get your own league link to send out those invites. And to do that, to then activate it and to get everything rolling, use the promo code BREAD for 40% off of the activation fee right there. BREAD for 40% off of the league activation there. Download the BracketBids app today or go to BracketBids.com. Use the link in the YouTube description as well with the promo code loaded up for you. All you got to do is click it and it takes you right there over to BracketBids.com. We appreciate everybody for doing that. We appreciate our friends at BracketBids. Before we move on to that next game, Mike Peanut Butter Posse hanging out in the chat asking, better for resume, NC beating Florida State or Georgia losing to Auburn?
I think he's getting at where we were getting at yesterday about the ACC.
Yeah, a little bit of discourse on college basketball Twitter today about North Carolina's resume and their lack of quad one victories. It's going to be interesting to see how this unravels as Selection Sunday approaches. Speaking of teams that don't necessarily have anything to worry about, and a team that looks like a one seed is basically locked in, and that is Duke traveling to Miami, who has an interesting situation with their coaching, and especially since the next Miami coach is on the Duke sideline for this game. All right, enough of that stuff. Jay Lucas sitting over there hanging out with the Blue Devils, knowing he's going to coach the Hurricanes. What we do like here, Mike, 155 points implied on the total. All right, that's a little bit better than what was the last one? 127, 129, something that makes me want to puke. But the problem is even in a total like this, Duke won by 35 last time, 89-54. So that doesn't necessarily make me want to spend $11,000 for Cooper Flag, but we'll get to that in a minute. Kneppel had 25, 5, and 3 last time, so he got his. Flag 13, 7, and 6. He kind of if I'm spending $11K, I'm going to want more than that out of him. Lynn Kidd did have 20 for Miami in the last time, but these two teams matched up. But let's start with Duke. 89 implied points here. Look at this spread. It's always worrisome, Mike. You know, even though you know that these Duke guys can get theirs in a blowout, it's sometimes it makes you hesitate just a little bit before pushing those buttons. A pace up for the Blue Devils here. Miami is 189th in tempo, and Duke is 273rd. From a Duke perspective, literally, like, this is another one of those teams, Mike, that you or I could get a couple of buckets on. Like,
man,
this is not – they're one of the worst defenses in the country, and they give up 39% from three and 56% from inside the arc. So, I don't know what else to say.
They already gave up 89 to Duke already.
Yeah.
Cooper Flag at 11K.
Too, by the way. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here? Again, I kept getting at it. Cooper Flag, 11K flat. I don't know, man. Like, obviously,
the matchup.
You know he's gonna play his normal. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike. I'll let you in. Go
ahead. Well, you're going to say that if you know he's playing 32 minutes, then you're absolutely clicking the button. He's probably too cheap for 32 minutes. If we're being honest in this spot, he's not going to do that. I mean, could he get to 40 plus in 25 minutes? I think that's possible. They just blew out Illinois by like 1 million points, and he had 31 fantasy points in 23 minutes. He needs the game to stay close, man. Like, there's no reason why Duke would want to push him in this matchup. There's no reason why this game should be close. I'm going to disagree with Cam a little bit here. I think this is going heading towards another like 30, 40-point blowout. Like, there's going to be no one in the stands. This team is left for dead. So, for me, like, I'm probably going to pass on Cooper Flag, even in tournaments, man. Like, that just sounds crazy to say, but that price tag and just this matchup, if Miami stays close, you need Flag and probably a couple other Duke dudes, and you better run it back with like 4 Miami guys if you think this game stays anywhere close to where he's on the floor in the last 6 to 8 minutes of the game. So I want to know in the chat what you guys are doing with Cooper Flag, if you're willing to take a chance that he can get 30-plus minutes in this one. Con Kneppel at 6,800. Jay, you mentioned it. He crushed them. He got his 36 fantasy points in that first game. He's definitely risky, always a tournament option. He's got to get hot from the field. He really only has like a little bit of rebounding upside to go with the scoring. But this is a team in Miami that gives up 39% from 3. He shoots a lot of threes. They give up 56% from 2. There's just no resistance on this Miami D. I think Kneppel maybe in a tournament lineup or 2 if you're mass multi-injuring. Proctor, he's max price, man. Usually 7K is right around his max price. 6,600, but he's more boom or bust. Now, could he go 5X? Absolutely. If he plays 28 to 30 minutes, he could get there. It's going to be the same song and dance with every single Duke guy, at least the starters. Again, the minutes are a concern. He only played 23 minutes in the first game. So he's not going to get there in 23 minutes. Maluach, 12 points, 15 rebounds in 20 minutes against Miami. I mean, he's not going to play more than 20 to 24 minutes, especially with them wanting to get Ngongba, some development time. Ngongba played 18 minutes last time. So all these guys, man, completely rendered tournament options. Isaiah Evans is probably going to gain a lot of ownership here at 4,200. He's coming in on an absolute heater. Going to be mega popular, 24 and 27 fantasy points in the last two. We were talking about it yesterday. Like if he wasn't on this team with Flag, Knipple, Proctor, Maluach, and he was somewhere like at Illinois, he'd probably be averaging 18 points per game and be one of the studs out there in the Big Ten. So he's going to get blowout run. He's going to shoot a ton of threes. Every three that he makes, 3.5, almost 1x. Yeah, should be popular. I'll be playing a lot of him in tournaments, just not safe because he's going to get 18 to 20 minutes in this one, and that's it. So, yeah, you're going to see a lot of guys hit the floor here, Jay, and it's just I don't see the way this game's close, but it's college basketball, right? Anything. Maybe Miami plays for their new head coach. So, but like I said, if you play a couple of Duke guys or just Flag by himself, you're going to need all the Miami help you can get, which means that your lineup is basically going to be 6 spots are probably dedicated to this game.
Not very often do you get to audition for your next head coach in a game in your own conference. It is a very unique situation here for these Miami guys. Cam saying it's going to be a 21-point game there, 85 to 64. Well, that covers the spread at least. Are you saying to give me Miami and the points? Is that what you? Yeah. Okay. Plus 23. Yep. Understood. Okay. Make it happen, Cam.
We've watched Miami. How many times we say someone had 50 fantasy points against Miami? We've been saying that every single slate. Throw out the Miami game. We can't count that.
Duke question about playing in the ACC again. Is it the old iron sharpens iron thing? Or being able to avoid some of that grind, is that beneficial? I mean, you could look at it any number of ways.
Yeah,
man.
They also played one of the hardest non-cons in the sport. So yeah, I don't bear any weight to that stuff. They're not going to get injured because they're only playing their guys 20 minutes a game. Unlike we'll not take shots at Peanut Butter Posse right now in Kentucky. So
we're not going to kick them while they're down. Is that what you're saying?
No, they need to get healthy.
Good man. Hey, let's get to the Miami side of this game. Speaking of defense, Duke plays pretty good defense. Absolutely. Top 5 in defensive efficiency in the country. 4th, actually. So, again, they're not stopping anybody. They're not going to be able to score a ton of points against Duke. Matthew Cleveland, 8,300. He's questionable right now with the old leg injury. I don't know. It's really a tough spot to play any of these guys. Cleveland was playing big minutes before missing, but I don't know.
Everybody's $2,000 over for this match.
I would even think about Cleveland if he was 74, maybe even 1,000 less. It's just tough. I'm probably not taking him at 8,300. I'm not clicking on.
I'm not taking any of these guys at 4.5. Even Matthew Cleveland. Cleveland's obviously a really good player, but the rest of these guys, Stanton McRae, now up to 5,800. Like, what are we doing? I know he played 35 minutes for Cleveland now. I'm not doing it. Divine Ugochukwu, 5,200. I need 3,800 Divine to play this. So yeah, I mean, it's just I don't see a point. I don't know how they even get there. I don't even know how they get to 66. That's a lot of points for Duke to give up, honestly. I might have to check that on KenPom again.
I don't think a lot of people are going to be on Miami again. So if you want to get a little contrarian,
thanks for the money,
these guys. But yeah, it's going to be tough for them to. It's tough. It's just tough. Like, I don't care. It's a horrible matchup for Miami. It's an even better matchup for Duke. And are you going to spend up $11K for a guy that's not going to play 30 minutes? I can't do it. I don't think I can do it. Not a ton. But you know what I can do? I'm going to follow this link that's about to be dropped into the live chat for the One and Done Invitational, or as some people call it, the MC Holland Invitational. I forget who did it in the live chat the other day. It might have been Jason.
Yeah, probably Jason.
The MC Holland 34 Invitational. But no, we like to do a 30-person one and done crew. Everybody hop in there, and $3 a person, get in there and play on this slate. And there it is right there. It is in the chat. $3 entry. Link will be in the description if you're watching later as well. If you're watching later on, leave us a comment and let us know. Thanks for checking us out. If you're maybe eating your Lucky Charms in the morning, enjoying your coffee, sitting around, you might have the news on, watching the world collapse and crumble around us, and then in front of you here on your phone, you've got One and Done. Hey, we appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us. Anyway, that you can BracketBids.com, BracketBids app. Use the promo code BREAD for 40% off of your league activation fees. What else? What else we got going on here, Mike? Anything else before we get to Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh? Mike, first of all, Mike, how are you doing, Mike? How was your day?
It's good, man.
Okay. All right, everybody's good. All right. We're all good. Let us know how your day was in the chat. Okay. Sometimes we don't stop and just ask each other, hey, Peanut Butter Posse, how was your day?
I felt good, man.
Jason, how was your day? Cam, how was your day? Let us know how your day was.
Chat.
Georgia Tech in Pittsburgh, 146-point implied total. 68 of those to Georgia Tech, according to Ken Palm's metrics. Pace down for Georgia Tech. Pittsburgh is 238, so we don't really care for that. What we do care for is the Georgia Tech 3-ball boost and assist boost. And we do like the condensed rotation, all right? We don't like injuries, but the fact that we know basically 6 guys are going to play all the minutes on this Georgia Tech side, we do like that for sure. Nathan George, 9K flat. Before last game, he was on fire. That little guy, I wouldn't worry about that little guy. Okay, 46, 40, 38, 42, 33, 45 fantasy points in the games before. Okay, like him in cash with tourney upside. I like cash games. I like him in cash games a lot. He's got that tourney upside, though, as well. But he has to play the whole game and have the ball in his hands with his usage and assist rate. 23% usage, 34% assist rate. So
I'm dying at the chat and everybody literally responding to your question, man. And now I feel bad because they're telling you and I just said it was good.
Yes.
They're giving you detailed responses. I wasn't mentally ready to answer. I was ready to answer about Bay and Dongo at 8,700. Not about how my day went on a Monday, but it was good. Thank you for asking, Jay. All right. I too like Nathan George on the slate. I too like Georgia Tech's guys here. And Dongo's 8,700. Every time I play him, though, he doesn't do anything. So we'll see what happens because he's coming off of a 47, 48, 43 fantasy point effort in the last 3. 4.4 fouls per 40. So if you click the name and that happens, like what happened to me, do you remember when Eddie Lampkin had 500 rebounds against GDG and these guys? Dongo's a beast inside. So I think he's an awesome tournament play. Duncan Powell, 7,300, more of a cash play for me. He's going to play 34 to 40 minutes. All these guys, they basically have to play the entire game. So his upside's a little bit capped though by that price tag, although it is down $500. You don't mind that. Didn't shoot it well last time, so there's a little bit of upside. Georgia and Dongo are just so involved offensively that unless Powell is super efficient, it's going to be hard for him to really, really pay off in a tournament, but I don't mind it. I'll probably have a share out of 15, 20 lineups, a couple of shares of them. Lance Terry, and this is probably why it's harder to get Duncan Powell. He's $1,300 cheaper, 38 and 39 minutes in the last 2. The production hasn't been there because Georgia and Dongo have been going crazy, but that sets up perfectly for a tournament. Jay, you remember playing him, I think, early in the season when he was 3,800, came off the bench, lit it up in the final 10 minutes of whatever game they were playing. We know he can get hot quickly. He's taking a ton of shots. You save a bunch of coin. Like, how many guys in the mid tier can go for 30 pretty easily? Like, he could easily cruise to 30 fantasy points. So yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of Terry in tournaments. So this chat, man, got some good people, man.
Well, let's start with Darren first, because Darren, if there's anybody that can sniff a double-double, Darren's going to talk about it. And the fact that Ndongo sort of flirts, lives in that neighborhood, not surprised that Darren would shout him out for sure. But yeah, I didn't know Peanut Butter Posse working outdoors 40% of the time. No wonder. It's just you're such. I figured you're this big, tough, rugged Kentucky basketball fan, of course. Way to go. Love it, Peanut Butter Posse. Hope the weather's treated you good.
Yeah, that's what happens when you play Malik Ewing.
That'll do it.
That'll do it right there.
Glad to hear work was fine, though, at least. That's good. Happy to hear that for sure. Case of the Mondays for Cam. Yeah, if I get it. Trust me, buddy. I love it. Keep it rolling. Let's roll to Pittsburgh on the other side of this game now. 78 implied points. Georgia Tech's actually been decent defensively, but the pace up will create extra possessions for Pitt here. Pitt is 31st in the country in offensive efficiency. And, I wish more of that was directly tied to Ish Leggett's fantasy numbers. But outside of that 52 fantasy points he had against Miami, he has the top 36 fantasy points in a month, my guy. Like, if there was a time, though, if there was a spot, this could be it. 37 to 40 minutes as they try to make the tourney. They're gonna have to go through him. It's gonna have to be the Ish Leggett show. Great team total here. Feels like either he or Lowe's gonna get 40 fantasy points tomorrow. So 9,100 if you got the salary. If Leggett is your spend up, sort of makes him a contrarian compared to Lowe. Obviously, Mike, you're gonna get him at a full $1,000 cheaper than Leggett. So something to consider there, especially when you look at all the numbers. But I don't know, man. It's like if there was a time for Leggett to peak, this feels like the matchup.
Yeah, man, he's interesting for tournaments. Jalen Lowe's a little bit safer in tournaments, and also like a cash play being $1,000 cheaper. Cam likes him. Leads the team in usage, shot rate, assist rate. Hadn't shot the ball lately, so he's due for some positive regression there. I like how he kind of sets up in his profile in this one, especially when they're nearing a team total of 80. Yeah, it does feel like Leggett or Lowe is going to go for – one of them's going to go for 40 fantasy points. So don't mind that. I'm not a Zach Austin guy, even though he's kind of been playing pretty well lately. But you just look at his rates. The rates don't match, man. I know it does match. It's 38, 39 minutes, 37 plus in the last 5. He could absolutely get to 30 or 30 plus, but it literally takes everything for this guy to get there and super efficient because he could easily take 4 to 5 shots and get 17 fantasy points. So that's on the realm of possibilities. So I'm not playing him. I could see people playing him. I just don't get it, but just is what it is. Cam Corrin, 6,200. Much rather take a shot on him and GDG. I mean, they're both boom bust tourney options. If he doesn't foul, he's pretty solid. 35 minutes last game. He has 30 fantasy point upside. GDG's $300 cheaper, and I don't yeah, here you go. Darren took the words. I mean, kind of took the words out of him. I was gonna say I don't understand how he got 37 minutes last game, and of course he only had 22 fantasy points. It's like when he plays 22. He'll drop 35 fantasy points. When he's super chalky at 3,900 salary, he will play 7 minutes. Both of those guys, man. Tournament bound. If you're trying to win 3K, good luck playing these guys. But also, when they hit, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So I'd rather play the guards. You can play lower Leggett with one of those two, Corrin or Diaz Graham and then run it back with like a Lance Terrier, and even you can run 4 in this game. This is a decent and kind of a sneakier game environment.
One of the better totals of the night for sure. Good stuff there. Yeah, if you have the GDG key, let me know. DM it to me, whatever. Just
I just want to save money.
Figure that out.
I don't want to win. I want to save money.
Yeah, exactly. If you can figure that out, I don't know, 5,900. It almost feels like, I don't want to pay for that. Yeah, exactly, Ryan. Yeah, I mean, we'll probably go off. This is the day. I'm not paying up for that, but that's all right. Okay. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. The subscribers only mode in the live chat. The lads are out in full force tonight, so make sure you join them. Hit the like and subscribe button, notification bell, so you don't miss anything that we're doing here. DFS Streets tonight. Mike El Capitan bringing you the best that you can find here on the YouTubes. One and done college basketball is where. If you're watching on X, thank you. Thanks for taking us in. However it is that you watch us or absorb our content. If you like what you see, do us a big favor and get to YouTube, like and subscribe, push all those buttons, turn on the notification bells. We're doing good stuff here, and we're year-round, 365 days a year. We're not just hopping in late November or January. No, we're doing college basketball year-round. Transfer portal, you name it. We're talking about it. So make sure you follow us all the time.
You
and now, of
name
course, yeah, you name it. This is you threw me off there. I wasn't expecting you.
That's how I felt with that question. That's how I felt with that question about how my day was.
I love it. There you go.
Automated response to my wife is it was good.
Yeah, we just go on robot mode sometimes. I totally get it. It was good. Okay, I get it. It happens. You know what else happens? Baylor traveling to Cincinnati in that classic Big 12 battle. Baylor and Cincinnati. You know it. I know it. 139 implied points in this one. Of course, if you're hopping in late and you haven't heard before, these are Ken Palm's metrics. These will look a little bit different than maybe your book will. These numbers, but 139 implied points according to Ken Palm in a close one as well. Baylor won the first one at home 68-48. So, obviously I don't imagine Cincinnati will only score 48 points again in this one, but, Skillings had his, but that was about it in that one, in that first time around. Baylor, 69 implied points. So, this is not going to be a super fast game. Both teams around 290th in tempo. Cincinnati is 22nd in defensive efficiency overall, but hasn't been as sharp in conference play. Baylor's 246th in bench minutes used, but now their rotation has gotten a little bit tighter, 6-man rotation for basically all of the minutes, and that is something that we can get on board with. All right, it's spend up time, Mike. Let's talk about Norchad. 10.4. Big price tag, big minutes, as long as he stays out of foul trouble. And the matchup here, this is probably one that earlier in the year, you're like, maybe we anticipated Cincy's front court to be a little bit more imposing of their will at times. I don't feel like that's necessarily been the case. They haven't been as dominant as maybe they should. And let's talk about David Punch, right? Who do you ask? Who exactly? But he got 18, 6, and 3 against Cincinnati, and then Hansberry put up 13 and 13 as well. So, I mean, it's there. It's 10.4 though. Okay, like what do we need Norchad to get in this situation to pay this off? And is that ceiling game sort of like? Is it there in this? It's just, if I'm paying this much, I almost just want to take the chance on Cooper Flagg in what he's going to do in 28. Seriously, in what he's going to do in 26 minutes. How do you feel about O'Meara here, and then the rest of the Baylor options?
I don't feel great. I mean, look at that. That was an ugly game the first time they played. It's gonna be really ugly again. Norchad. You better hope your value hits if you play him. And also, like, 10-4 with his ceiling, it's like, he's going to get a double-double, but it's not like he's like this massive stock guy. So, yeah, that's a big price tag. I'm probably not going to get to him. Edgecombe sitting there at 8,400. Like, he kind of lacks some tourney upside right now, but that's because he hasn't shot well. So, like, if he starts to get it going, obviously he's super aggressive, attacking the rim, can get to the free throw line a ton. His price is down a little bit, so kind of an interesting turning option. Langston Love, Darren's talking about the love letters here. I'm not playing him at this price tag. Like, I still love that he's getting 32 to 35 minutes, but if he was 4K forever and you just locked him in on every slate for the last like 3 slates, you can't lock him in at 6K. Doesn't make any sense in a tough road environment. So not for me. I'm more interested in the cheap punts. Cam's talking about one of them here being Jeremy Roach, but Celestine here at 4,500. He's playing 28 to 32 minutes at the 4, finally over 4K, which is kind of annoying. We're sitting at that like 3,900 mark. Tough matchup against Dylan Mitchell. Like, he's got to hit his threes, otherwise he's got no chance. I would just rather go, like, he's more of a secondary value because Roach is $300 cheaper. And yeah, why is he 4,200? Because we know he can do absolutely nothing. Or he had a pretty good fantasy game against Colorado, but granted, it was a pace-up spot. Didn't shoot the ball well. Like, this is definitely a buyer beware situation because it just looks so good. And we played Jeremy Roach last year at Duke at 6K. Last couple of years, 6, 6.5. Played him some at 6 this year early in the season. If he told me he's going to get 28 minutes, yeah, but he's kind of been in the low 20s. Tournament, man, tournament for sure. There's no way you can touch this guy in cash because he could literally put up 10 fantasy points. So yeah, this Baylor side's a little interesting in tournaments, but this could be an ugly game, Jay.
Working on a love letter, listening to a love song, writing you a love letter. All right, hey, that's enough Langston love letters. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to him or not. Mike, do you agree with Peanut Butter Policy saying Baylor's going to be a popular second-round upset pick?
I don't know. They got a lot of talent, man. Like, I'm not in Scott Drew. Like, he has Amir. Roach is a better real-life player than he is fantasy player. You know what I mean? Like, Edgecombe is going to be a top 5 NBA pick, so it's not like they don't have talent to win it, to go to the Sweet 16.
Yeah. I like Baylor a lot. And you can say what you want about Scott Drew, and I have, but he's a hell of a coach. All right, Cincinnati, the other side of this one, going to get a 3-ball boost. Baylor, 36%, giving up 36% from 3 on the year. So big 3-ball boost for Cincinnati. Assist boost as well. What we don't like here, and we might get a thumbs down from Mike, is Cincinnati, 85th in bench minutes used. We never like to see, the double digits when we talk about rankings there. All right. Let's talk. Here's one of those questionable tags we talked about earlier. Lukosius making good progress from what it sounds like coming out of camp and everything. So one to pay attention to here. And something else to pay attention to is Max Price, Jizzle James. Mike, you were all over Jizzle James the last time we talked about Cincinnati. And now we're paying up for him again, at least in terms of what his price tag has been across the season. 7,500 here for Max Price Jizzle. Rates are awesome. I just play him 32, 33 minutes. Just tell me he's going to do it. Tell me, Mike. No, you're not. You can't tell me, will you? You won't tell me that he's going to play 32 or 33 minutes. You can't.
No.
Damn
no,
it.
Sorry.
Well, if you want to chase it, I guess, I don't think a lot of people are going to be on Max Price, Jizzle James, Mike, but could get a little bit different if you want. It's going to be tough to get to it though.
Yeah, it depends on Lukosius, man. Like, if Lukosius is in, you can't play these guards. Day, nah. Like, Gillings at 4,700, definitely interesting. He's paid off the last 2 games. His price hasn't moved, and if Lukosius comes back, I think he's the safest because his role is kind of like, we're going to play Dan Skillings at 20 minutes and just let him do a thing in 20 minutes. We give him a bigger role. He's just not going to be that guy. So he contributes across the board. I think he's a decent value play on this one. Dylan Mitchell, though, like, he smashed TCU. We talked about it. He was pretty miserable in this matchup. But you have to think back when these teams first played, Jocelyn Jawuna was at the 5. And so Amir was at the 4. So Mitchell only had 4.5 fantasy points in 31 minutes. Now he's going to get Jalen Celestine. This is a good spot for Dylan Mitchell. Kind of sneaky in tournaments. So it's an entirely different Baylor team. Now they don't have 2 bigs now starting. They only have Amir essentially as a big. So yeah, I kind of like Dylan Mitchell in tournaments. He might be one of my favorite plays, honestly.
We've definitely dabbled in some Dan Skillings the last couple of times he's been on the slate, and it has paid off. One of those players, especially in a cash game for me, that I might look at, just the consistency over the past couple of games and just a solid value there, somebody to pay attention to for sure. Yes, Jizzle James Ryan, first team name and first team game, but now we're actually paying for that, and I don't know if I want to do it anymore. I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. We'll see. There's worse plays, but I don't know if I could click 7,500 Jizzle James Mike. Ooh. All right. Like and subscribe, everybody. That's how you get in the live chat tonight. It's on fire, as always. The liveliest live chat in college basketball media right here on One and Done. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button. It's subscribers only tonight. Where are we sitting at? Can I get an update? Have we got any new subs tonight? Let's make sure if we haven't and you're hanging out with us to hit that button so we can get to 1380 on the evening. That would be cool if we could get there. So make sure. Oh, nope. I got the hard no in the ear there. So somebody can hit that button. We appreciate it. Do it. Do your part in the One and Done universe. Providence at Marquette here. 146 implied points on this one. In the first matchup, Marquette won by 28. I'm not really a fan of that happening again, but the line here is still 12 points, at least according to KenPom's metrics. Pretty rough night on the Providence side. 50. You never like to see 50 on anything that revolves around accumulating points. So we'll see. I don't think it'll happen again. Implied for 67 in this one. And Marquette is pretty strong defensively, 24th in defensive efficiency in the country. But if you flip the calendar back, not too long ago, they did just give up 81 to Villanova. But first, let's talk about that Georgetown game the other night in which Bensley Joseph nuked the Hoyas. 8,800 is the price tag now. He's going to play 37 to 40 minutes and have the ball in his hands as the primary option. What I don't love the team total, obviously, here, just 67 projected. But I do love the 40-plus fantasy point upside when I'm trying to chase after a comma. And this day, it's a 3K that we're chasing. So if they want to be in this game, it's going to run through Joseph, and he's got to have his peak night if they even want it to be close. So that's a case, at least, to pay 8,800 for Joseph Mike, because if they're going to be in this one and if they're going to win, it's most likely going to be because of him. Anybody else on this one? We've talked about Mela on this side before, but again, another player where it was so much nicer to pay so much less the last time and the time before that. Now a big time price increase for Mela. Yeah,
and his role's never secured. He can play 20 minutes. He can play 32. Who knows what's going to happen? But it looks like he's blowout proof. So you like that. He comes off the bench. I love his rates. I think he's going to be a beast next year. I just don't know that I'm willing to pay 6,200 in this spot, man. Feels kind of gross, but definitely a tournament option. I don't think he's going to have very much ownership, but definitely like this near 80-point implied total on the Marquette side.
Yeah, Providence bottom 3 in the conference in defensive efficiency, so Marquette should get some points here. Nearly 300th in bench minutes used. We like that a lot. And I like Cam Jones. Cam Jones? 9,500 for the guard here. Great matchup. He had 45 fantasy points the first time around. One of the safer spend-ups, I would say, Mike. And if the game stays close, watch out.
Yeah.
As Cam Jones goes, this Marquette team usually goes. So 9,500, one of the safer spend-ups on the slate, Mike. Really like him in all formats.
Yeah, I love me some Cam Jones. Going to have a lot of them. I think he's one of the best spend-ups that's out there. So, man, look, if you know what to do with the rest of Marquette, let me know. Chase Ross, I think he's a fantastic pivot. So if you go with a different stud and you want to go with Chase Ross, every now and then he'll pop off for a nice game. He hasn't done anything lately. The last couple of games, too, have been they threw in the white flag against Villanova. Then they blew out, I think it was Seton Hall the game before that. DePaul, not much of a matchup there. So we haven't really seen them in they blew out Providence the first time. So you like the team total, but damn, you don't know what's going to happen here. David Joplin, Stevie Mitchell, these guys haven't really been getting their full run. I don't really get to those guys anyway. So I think for me, it's Cam Jones, Chase Ross, and then I hope people click Zayd Lowry. Just something to monitor, maybe his roles. maybe it's changing. I don't think so though. Just kind of a nuclear game in a random spot and a blowout. So if y'all want to chase that, go ahead. I think I'm sticking to Cam Jones and a little bit where I'm not playing Cam Jones, like maybe throwing a Ross to see if he can have one of those games. But yeah, Zay for 39.5 again. Yes, please. Yeah, that. Go ahead and chase that. I think Mitchell and Joplin will be back to their roles, but we'll see. It could be a blowout, and Zayd Lowry plays 20 minutes. But even so, he's not gonna drop more than 20 fantasy points. Like, that was an incredible game he had.
Cam calling for the Joplin bounce back. We'll see if it happens at 6,500. We'll see if he can get there for Marquette. A couple more games in this slate to get to before we get to the core four at the end of the show there. Let's get right to Florida and Georgia. 148 implied points. Florida favored by 8 according to Ken Palm's metrics. Another time, this is just another instance of a blowout happening. The first time two teams on this slate matched up, and Florida won by 30 the first time against Georgia. Again, this is like, what would you rather have, Mike? Would you rather have a situation where it's just you had a close game the first time around and you sort of can see what it was like and that more people got to see what it might be like, or a situation like this where there's so many games where you didn't get to see what a close matchup would be and you sort of get to dig a little bit deeper and make those tough choices? Do you have a preference in that, or is it just sort of?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends. Like, I think I like Georgia to cover here. I think they could outright win this game. They need it. I love betting on teams that are absolutely desperate. Oklahoma was in that situation against a ranked Mississippi State team. You see it all the time in conference play with these teams on the bubble. They got to win a huge game. Next thing you know, they're in they're back in the tournament field. So the problem with Georgia, we'll talk about them here in a second, is they just play a ton of guys. So this Florida spot here, man, like, look at these price tags. It gets a little interesting for the Florida side on the DFS from a DFS perspective.
Well, let's start with Walter Clayton, 9,200. We talk about spending up for Flag, Jones, George, right? He sort of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit as one of those spend up options. Doesn't just hop out at you as a name that, I got to spend up for Walter Clayton, but he's good for 40. He can drop it. It could happen. I think it's got to be somebody that, even though he doesn't feel like the premium name, but he is. We have to take Walter Clayton Jr. seriously here. I like him for tournaments at 9,200. Not a bad option at all. Yeah,
he's interesting. And Ryan jumping in. Yeah, Arkansas was in that same spot. Like, they needed that win. Now they're solidly in the tournament. So, man, Alex Condon's back. That hurts these front court guys like Half, Chindielu. So I'm off the front court completely. Will Richard, I think he's a cool boom bust tourney option. He can go he's back at that price tag where he was at the beginning of the year. He can go for 30 plus. Now he's got to hit his shots. Otherwise he's got no chance. Every now and then he'll grab some rebounds. He's got some decent steal upside. And the reason why I like him is because everyone's going to go run into the hills for Elijah Martin at 6,300. And I will too. I'm probably going to play some lineups where I have Martin and Clayton, Martin by himself, Martin with Richard, and then just Richard by himself or Richard with Clayton. Like, I'm going to be mixing it up on the side. Florida, 80-point total. I'm a little nervous though, right? Because I do like Georgia to actually win this game outright.
Wow.
With Martin back, got back over 30 minutes, right? Rates across the board for Elijah Martin, man. At one point he was just dropping 40 fantasy points like every single slate. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have him. And also just, man, thinking about it in this past weekend, look at Indiana against Purdue. Like, Braden Smith had like 1 fantasy point in the second half at Indiana. Indiana comes up with a huge win that is going to potentially propel them into the tournament. So for the betting markets, guys, when you see these home dogs, like, just jump on the money lines. Like, I don't care if as long as the spread's like a decent spread. I'm not saying jump on, plus 18 for, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I definitely love it, man, because these teams are playing so desperate. The home crowd is just into it. They seem to have peak performances. It's like that every single year. So yeah, love me some guards in this one for Florida, even though I like Georgia to win the game outright. So if the game's close, obviously these guys are going to play max minutes.
Florida plays a little bit of defense too, Mike. 7th in the country in defensive efficiency. Despite that, Georgia's still forecasted, if you will, to have 70 points here. A little bit of annoying with the rotations outside of the big three are the Bulldogs here. But again, this is another situation, Mike, like you said, they're desperate. They got to have this one being on the bubble right now. Asa Newell, 8,200. This is a tough front court matchup, man. Like, this is tough. Went 4 for 14 the first time around. The 40-point upside is there. If he gets it going, we've seen it. Another guy, like, not like top tier spend ups. We're not, and 8,200 is still somebody that you're going to have to flip around and find a little bit of value for. But I don't know, man. Interesting name for tournament play.
He's so interesting. Like, this is a nice pace up spot. The problem is
mute,
like,
Mike.
Oh, am I still there?
Got you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Interesting tournament spot for these guys, man. Like, interesting. It's a huge pace up spot. Florida's going to want to get up and down. The problem is like, I'm not paying 8K for Silas DeMary. Like, Blue Canes, those two guys are the only other guys that really get over 30 minutes. They're expensive. So, yeah, I think Austin Newell's. I think Austin Newell's. No, yeah, absolutely. I think that Austin Newell's a cool tournament play. Dakota LaFew is an interesting budget option. So is Tyron Lawrence, but he's questionable. One of those two guys can come off the bench and really add some offense. They both have 18 to 20 fantasy point upside for dirt cheap. I don't know. I'll have to see what happens as we get closer. I mean, Dakota LaFew hasn't made a shot in 2 games. And he could hit 2 or 3 threes in this one and play, mid-20s minutes or even high 20s minutes if he gets a shot going. So, yeah. Large field. And locked in, not with Condon back. Because you got Half and Condon, man. Like, that is, nobody knew that. How we saw him a little bit last year, but man, he went off when obviously he's 8K. Like, there's a reason he's 8K. Condon only missed like 3 games. So, yeah, no hand locked in for me. He doesn't shoot the ball at all. He needs like 15 rebounds to get there.
Belly Ball hopping in late. Thanks for hopping in the comments or the live chat to let us know that you were here, Belly Ball. Always good to see you in the live chat. Good luck to you as well. Hop in the One and Done Invitational. If you haven't already, Belly Ball, I know you've been in there before. The link's in the live chat right now. It'll be in the description as well if you're watching later on. If you're not hanging out with us almost midnight on the East Coast here live, 10:41 Central Standard Time Zone. But we appreciate it. However you absorb us, whether it's live or later, thanks for hanging out with us. Right there, flashed up on the screen. It's going to be in the description as well, along with that link to BracketBids that'll load up that 40% discount for you with the promo code BREAD. If you want a one-and-done avatar, a little Avi action to rock in those DraftKings streets, hit us up and we'll get you squared away, okay? Let us know. Shoot us a DM over at One and Done CBB. Make sure you let us know over there on Twitter. We can shoot you something over.
Shout out to Corey, man. He took down the night slate single entry, won like $80 with the One and Done logo. So technically the first One and Done logo for a first place takedown. Pretty cool. Good stuff, Corey.
Yeah, good stuff, Corey. I'm getting word from the producer here to let us know right here on YouTube if you want to get that. If you want to get that One and Done logo, drop it in the live chat. And we will get in touch with you and get that squared away. So good stuff there. We appreciate everybody for doing that. They even got Mike and Eric even got me to change my Avi from John Wall and a USA basketball t-shirt, which I had since I opened my DraftKings account. I feel like it was the only Avi I ever had. And even I switched over to the One and Done logo now. So if I did it, you can do it too. And we appreciate it. Definitely. One more game here on this slate, Mike, before we get the cool 4 and get out of here. Iowa State on the road at Oklahoma State, a 12-point favorite according to KenPom's metrics are the Cyclones. Big-time questionable tags, and we're going to get to that in a minute for the Iowa State side. 82 implied points for them. Big-time pace up. There's going to be a lot of possessions in this game. A lot of shots going to get up and down. This is what we like to see. This is the type of hammer that we want here. Iowa State and Oklahoma State, 152 implied points. Oklahoma State just 334th in opponent effective field goal percentage. That's no bueno. Iowa State stock party here. because OSU turns it over a ton, getting a shot blocked a ton. So Iowa State bigs here, like Justin Jefferson that we'll talk about in a minute. But here, I want to ask you first, Gilbert and Jones questionable here. Are these the biggest questionable tags on the slate for you?
Yeah. I mean, look at this. I mean, 82 implied total. Basically, the two top dogs on this team outside of Josh Jefferson. Like,
What did I say, Justin?
So yeah, I mean, look at the price tags on Gilbert and Jones, like sub 7K. Yeah, if they're in, but doesn't mean these other guys can't hit. I mean, these guys could easily cross 82. Oklahoma State plays 0 defense.
Joshua Jefferson. Did I say Justin the first time? It's been that kind of day. Mike's got the purple shirt on, got the Vikings thing in my head too. So Josh Jefferson, here we go, 8,600. That role has sort of changed with the return of Momcilovic, right? So that's something to think about. But if Jones and Gilbert are out, I don't mind him in tournaments because you know the usage is going to be there, right? Again, this is if I'm spending up this much, waiting for both of those questionable tags to it's depending on just like the rest of the team, Mike, for Jefferson, right? It just depends on that news. Like any of these other players, I know you're going to talk about Gilbert and Jones here, but like I've been saying to do the Lipsy rain dance now for the last 2 months, and it hasn't rained. Man. So I don't know. I'm beginning to think it's never going to rain there. But Cam feels pretty high on Jefferson here, saying. And he's like an easy 4-4 type of a play, so he's really high on him. What are your thoughts on Jefferson and the rest of this Iowa State side?
I don't like Justin. Actually, I don't like Justin Jefferson either. I don't like Josh or Justin Jefferson on this slate. I don't play him. Like now, if the two guys are out, yeah, like I'll get theirs. I mean, look what he did against Houston, right? 37 fantasy points in 37 minutes. Absolutely, there's gonna be mega usage for him. Both those guys are in. He's just for me. He's okay for tournaments. Like I don't get too excited about Josh Jefferson. I don't know. I've been saying fade him for months. It hasn't worked out a few times, but whatever. Gilbert at 6,400. I mean, it's a muscle strain. That feels weird. So kind of more of a wait and see approach. I feel like his minutes can be a little limited. So I would much rather, because Curtis Jones was sick, if he gets like full clearance, we hear about it. I just feel like that's a little bit easier to come back from. I think he's an awesome tournament play. I think he can go for 30, 35, 40 fantasy points in this spot easily. He's, guy that can take 15 plus shots. We were playing this guy at 9K, so why would we not play him at 6,700 if he's good to go? So a little concerning. We'll look for the news right as we get closer and closer, because if we hear that they're limited or whatever, I mean, you can't really play these guys, but they're full go. Like, yeah, I have interest in them for tournaments. Momcilovic, finally not dirt cheap, which is nice. I mean, he would take a ton of shots if Jones and Gilbert would have missed. He's still too cheap. I think he took like 14 shots in that last game. Didn't make them all because obviously you're playing Houston. But yeah, this is just a fantastic spot here. I mean, all of these guys. Lipsy could even have that game because it's Oklahoma State. This could be the rain dance Lipsy game that wins you at 3K. Ooh. He's not gonna be owned at all. George Jefferson, pretty solid, man. I would take him at 9,200.
Moving on up to the east side to a deluxe apartment in the sky. So he said Josh Jefferson, Justin Jefferson, George Jefferson. It don't matter. Lakers in 5. That's what he said. All right. Anyways. Oh yeah, I get the John. Yeah, little throwback. Get the John Wall. All right, that's enough of that. I got a hurt neck and shoulder right now. I don't even know.
Man, you were battling through it, man.
That was tough. I shouldn't have done that at all.
I'd pay 5K with the performance that you're giving here tonight, man. So.
Oh wow. Very nice. Very nice. Good stuff. Keep the live chat rolling. We're almost done here. Oklahoma State, not much on this side, Mike. Iowa State obviously still playing good defense, battling through some things, but the defense is still there. And I know what I'm about to get. I better get it. Oklahoma State 9th in bench minutes used. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a double thumbs down. 9th in bench minutes used. I knew I would get it out of Mike. Oh, he even held the pose too. Anybody worth talking about? Is it worth sifting through the Cowboys on this side?
The 15 guys and the water boy that are checking in. Darren likes Thompson at 6.6. He's taking a lot of shots.
That's basically the only guy playing anything of consistency.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well, here's the thing. Look what he at Kansas. That's they're not defending anybody, and then UCF, who plays at a ridiculous pace. So, I'm not going to chase that. No way. Not for me. Not against the Iowa State defense. Seems a little tough for me, but I can see if you want to.
Mike saying, I could see if you want to, and thank you for donating your money to me as I try to get $3K for $3K. That's what that meant. If you didn't pick up on that out there in one and done land. Good stuff, everybody. That's the 7 games. We broke them all down one by one, as we are wont to do here on the show. And you know what else we are wont to do is bring you a core 4 and more. We're bringing you the core 4. This is the reward. Hanging out with us for the whole entire show. You get the one and done, the patented one and done core 4. And I always like to start with the cash game plays, a little bit safer of a tournament type floor, if you will. But these are guys where, especially if you're building a cash game, double ups and things like that, that I would recommend hanging out with, or at least considering to start your lineups with. Cam Jones, Cam Jones, 9,500 for Marquette. Great team total, and he put up 45 fantasy points the first time out against Providence. Nathan George, 9K flat, plays every single minute for Georgia Tech. Elijah Martin, way too cheap. He's going to be mega popular, but that's okay to have a free square. Don't shy away from the free square just because everybody else is going to have it. Take advantage of Elijah Martin at 6,300. And then Milan Momcilovic at 5,400 for Iowa State. Big-time team total, taking a bunch of shots. Obviously, monitor the injury news. Some guys could be out. But here's the deal. I know I'm only giving you about 5K per player left, but what you can do is you can go through and find somebody like it. Doesn't Skillings he always just feels like he's right there under 5K, just waiting for you to scoop him up, put him in there, and work from there, okay? And again, this isn't necessarily start your lineup with these 4 guys, right? But you look at Skillings there, you drop him in, what does that leave you? About the same. You can work with that and find there's some value on this lineup, Mike, okay? I obviously didn't hit any of the big-time spend-ups on this slate, like the huge spend-ups. From a tournament core perspective, obviously, there's a lower floor for this core, but the ceiling is much higher, and these are the guys that if we hit on them and they hit that peak, these are guys that are going to win you a comma, that are going to see 3K on a Tuesday type of a slate. And judging by the way that you talked about most of the spend-up guys on this one, I have a feeling that you're going to avoid a lot of the big-time spend-ups in this core. But what's your approach to this tournament going to look like?
Yeah, I think I am, man. Like we talked about Flag, 11K. When you project him for 24 minutes, he's not going to hit. Omier, tough road environment. He's 10-4. I mean, even if you project him for 36, he might get to 4X. Dawson Garcia, I mean, that's an ugly total. If the next guy down is Nick Martinelli. He's 9,700. He would feel like just because he plays all 40 minutes and it'll take 20 shots. But then next is really your Cam Jones play. Because it's Walter Clayton, Ish Leggett, Nathan George, right? The safest guys are Cam Jones and Nathan George. Legitimately, Martinelli's not quite as safe because of the team total in the game environment. So when I'm looking at tournaments, man, like Jalen Lowe, I'm looking for someone who can get up into the 40s for cheap, and that's definitely Jalen Lowe at 8,100. I'm looking at who's the pivot. Obviously, Elijah Martin is a great play. Who's the pivot from Martin? I'm looking at Will Richard. So these are, high ceiling for their price tags. Obviously, this comes with a lower floor. Pivot option with Richard there. Lance Terry at 6K. We're going to be playing, and a lot of people are also going to be playing in Dongo and George up at the top. But if you can save 3K and play Lance Terry and he gets you to 35, I think that's fantastic for tournaments. And then Isaiah Evans at 4,200, who I think Ryan was mentioning. Yeah, he's definitely a tournament play because he's going to get his minutes and shots against a terrible Miami team. So in the context of the slate, you have the studs, but it's not necessarily the greatest spots. I mean, Those four of the most expensive guys are either two of them are in the lowest total. One of them might not even play 25 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of, and then the other one's on the road in a tough environment. So, and he's not a guy that usually goes for like 50 at 10-4. That's typically what you want at 10-4 is a guy that'll go for 50. Now, Norchad's going to get his double-double, but yeah, man, I think it's, Ish Leggett is kind of a cool tournament play as well at 9,100. Like, who's the guy that can get into the 40s for cheap? So for me, I started looking in that like 9 to 8K range, and I think that's why Cam kind of likes Josh Jefferson. You got Bensley Joseph that's sitting right there. But other than that, like you're starting to get to like VJ Edgecombe. You're not playing, Cleveland's game time decision, probably not going to play. Alex Condon coming back, you're probably not playing him. So yeah, it feels like, you don't need a ton of value to make a lineup that could be optimal, because if you're playing Cooper Flagg, you better hope that game is close. Like you better hope he plays 30 minutes.
He has to. Otherwise,
he's not going to play 22 and go for 50,
happen.
right? Like, and even if he goes for 50 in 22 minutes, he's 11K. So
it just doesn't feel like that. This is a letdown spot for Duke, where they're going to take the foot off the gas. Like I think they're
back up
full
for 5
speed
stars.
ahead. Like this is not a team to be messed with. Yeah, this is not a team to be messed with at all. And this is Duke, right? So they're going to be locked into a 1 seed, and everybody's going to hate on them because it's Duke, and it's just like they're just going to make their way through this tournament and just pick people apart.
I hate that they're in the ACC this year.
Yeah, it's like the age-old. I forget who mentioned it earlier in the chat, like the
Ryan. Double overtime.
Oh, damn
at Miami. Something went terribly wrong if that happens. My bad, Jay. What were you saying?
No, it's okay. Something Cooper Flagg. I don't remember what we were talking about. But it's okay. Either way, yeah, that's funny though, because I mean, that's the point though, right? Is that this would be the Cooper Flagg, the 70 bomb. If you spend up for him and you beat me with 70 fantasy points with Cooper Flagg, I'll shake your hand and move on.
Dude, you better have like 4 Miami guys.
Yeah, and if you do that and you do it in the MC Holland Invitational, like Darren's talking about right there in the chat, make sure. Oh, the link is flashed up on the screen. How convenient! DraftKings.com, right there. There's the link. If you're watching us live, click it there. If you're watching later, it'll be in the description. So make sure you get there. Follow us at One and Done CBB on the socials. We'll have the link up there too, and we'll repost it and get it out there so you can join up and show off your knowledge against the best of the best. All the breadheads hopping in there. It's just fun. $3 to get in. Everybody has a good time.
You get the shout out,
Yeah, get the shout out if and when you win. Our guy Napesy Hustle was. This is what happened It's like I was out in front like early on, and then I disappeared. That might have been 2 times ago where I was out in front for like the first 2/3 of the time that the games were on, and then I ended up in 7th. Nape was out in front for quite a bit, and he ended up cashing still the last time out. How about some love for the conductor, and maybe I can see some green screens in the MC Holland tournament. Maybe so. I don't know. How about it? Light the tower.
I gotta figure out how to change that.
Hey, light the tower here. That's a Craig Way. When I see light the tower, that's a light the tower orange. Anyways,
Jason piling on. Here we go. I got to figure out how to change that.
The top of the MC Holland Invitational, exactly. Yeah, we'll see you there at the top of the leaderboard, Jason. We love it. Hey, I saw somebody post earlier that the key to GMG is having a lot of alcohol, like figuring out that the key to play him. Who knows? But either way, still trying to get out of the 20s. Hey, Darren, you do your thing. Thanks for hanging out with us, Darren. We always love seeing you in the chat, as well as our guy Cam, Peanut Butter Posse, Josh G, Belly Ball, Ryan S, Jason B, of course, and Eric the Blue at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets, who's pushing the buttons tonight, getting those nice graphics up on the screen as well. Of course, at The Real Napier, doing stuff as well behind the scenes. At One and Done CBB on all the socials. That man in that bright purple shirt that made me think of Justin Jefferson is at MC Holland 34 on X, the captain of the One and Done ship. Follow that man. He's got all the goods. We're working on. Hey, I don't know if you guys understand the level that this guy's cooking behind the scenes, But we got some stuff coming, so
Lord.
make sure that you're hanging out with us here. Make sure you're hanging out with us here on One and Done, because you're not going to want to miss anything. You're going to want to be a part of it from day one, like all of our friends in the live chat. Let me just say that, okay? So push all those buttons, like, subscribe, notification bells. Hop in the live chat with us when you can. Hop in the comment section if you're watching later. Take care of yourself. Make sure you tell somebody that you love them. Let's get this bread, baby. I am the JAYHEINRICH. Choo choo. Come again. Peace. We'll see you.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.